Binge or Bin from The Independent, giving you the lowdown on which TV shows are binge-worthy and which ones are bin-worthy. This week, we'll be discussing the final season of Pose as it comes to iPlayer, and the second season of detective series Baptiste.
We've caught up with Amazon Prime's new thriller series Cruel Summer and the highly original dating show Sexy Beasts on Netflix.
And we'll introduce you to our picks of hidden gems we think you should be watching.
Hey Jacob.
Hey Annabel, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm good. Do you want to talk TV?
I do. So you've been watching Pose?
Pose is a show created by Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk and Stephen Canals. This is the third season. This is the final season. So now's your time to catch up. Ryan Murphy, he's kind of laid a dominion over a lot of films and TV shows over the past 10 years. I have to say Pose is probably the best one. Not only the best one, it's the most important one that he's done. It basically explores New York City life in the late 80s, the ball culture scene, whereby there are houses of LGBTQ people of colour who congregate in one place and they all compete in these contests at these balls and just live their best lives. And it's obviously an exploration that transports you into that time period. This is essentially a celebration of their lives and a show that really, I think, wouldn't have existed 10 years ago. We're seeing things on screen, seeing characters on screens we've not seen before. They're fully fledged characters. They don't exist just to make up the numbers or anything like they have in many other things, for the past few decades.
Vogue has hit #1 on the charts. We done changed the culture, y'all.
So the performances here are truly something to behold. MJ Rodriguez, who just recently became the first trans woman of colour to be nominated for Best Leading Actress at the Emmys, groundbreaking move, is fantastic. She's the lead character, Blanca. But for me, Dominique Jackson and you have India Moore are the real MVPs for me. India Moore especially. They are just fantastic and I really can't wait to see more of what they do.
And is it the kind of show where you need to watch the first 2 seasons before jumping into season 3, or could I go into it cold?
I would advise watching the first 2 seasons just so you can see the relationships that have formed in them bloom and blossom in this final season.
So is it a binge or a bin?
It's a gigantic binge.
Give them some music and pose.
So Annabel, you've been watching Cruel Summer.
Yes, I have. So Cruel Summer will be available to watch this weekend on Amazon Prime. Boiled down, it's about a teen girl who goes missing. The main character is Jeanette Turner, who's played by a relative newcomer, Chiara Aurelia, who was last seen in Netflix's horror series of films, Fear Street. But this series is set over the course of 3 days, which takes place over 3 years, from 1993 to 1995. And at the beginning, Jeanette starts off as this shy, little bit awkward, unpopular girl in a small town in Texas. She then, by some chance, strikes up a friendship with the kind of cool girl of the town, Kate. When Kate suddenly goes missing, Jeanette takes on Kate's past life. She kind of assumes her queen bee status. And then Kate is rescued. And when she's rescued, she starts accusing Jeanette of knowing where she was the whole time. Jeanette sues her for defamation of character. What follows is this really intriguing tale of who to believe. And it's never really obvious.
Jeanette, wake up. Your lawyer is here.
Which one?
What does it matter?
It does a really good job of kind of keeping you on your toes. Jessica Biel is among the executive producers on Cruel Summer, and it definitely borrows from Biel's last series, The Sinner, which had 2 brilliant seasons before dipping severely in the 3rd. But it kind of borrows that same dark, mysterious energy from that show. The show could perhaps do with some editing. It's 10 episodes, and considering that it takes place across what's essentially 3 days, it probably could have been boiled down to 7 or even 6. So you've also got Tia Napolitano, who serves as a showrunner on the series, and she's what you'd call a Shondaland alumni, which means basically that she's been involved in some of the biggest shows over the past decade, including Scandal and Grey's Anatomy, and Cruel Summer definitely has that, not trashy, but addictive feel to it.
So, Cruel Summer, is it a binge or is it a bin?
I think it's a binge, and I mean binge in the purest sense of the term. I think this is kind of one of those shows that really benefits from back-to-back viewing. It's a binge.
Nice. So does the world need another detective show? Probably not, but Baptiste is a new show on BBC. It's this second series of the spin-off of The Missing, which starred James Nesbitt and Frances O'Connor as parents whose young boy went missing, and Baptiste was a detective on the case. It's pretty much, the same run-of-the-mill detective shows you get on the BBC or on ITV, but with an international spin. I mean, it's filmed in and around the Netherlands. There are some select scenes filmed in the UK countryside, but it's mainly a Netherlands-Belgium co-production.
May I speak with whoever is in charge?
Your name?
Baptiste. Julien Baptiste.
It's got the chilly kind of Scandi vibe, even though it's not in Scandinavia. Checky Carriol returns as the main character. Throw him into any situation and he'll crack down. And that's the fun of the scenes, seeing him react to the developments that are thrown your way, and developments there are a lot of in this season. I'd say more than the first. There is a lot more shocks and cliffhangers. The 45 minutes before the twists are kind of doled out. You're kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs a little bit, and then they kind of throw something your way and you go, oh my God, I must watch the next one. Tried and tested formula, and it's working for Baptiste because it is watchable. It's a likeable show, and I think Carriot, it's the last time he's playing this character, so he has said. So it's kind of a swan song for the detective. And you've got Fiona Shaw in this series as well. Her family go missing. She's a Russian diplomat, and it's almost like you are watching her character in Killing Eve in another show.
So is it a binge or a bin?
It's a binge. It's not a binge that's going to change your life, because there's a lot of better things out there. But it is escapism.
Once upon a time, you promised you'd help me.
So I'm ashamed to admit that I watch my fair share of dating shows, so Sexy Beast is probably targeted to someone like me. The format is familiar enough. One eligible single goes on 3 dates with other people, and these dates kind of range anywhere between axe throwing and ice sculpting. And then after the dates, there is a dramatic bachelor-esque elimination ceremony that takes place in a mansion. Of course, there's a twist, because obviously there's always a twist.
Personality, for me, is everything. First, personality second.
And this one is that all of the participants are wearing these elaborate masks. And we're not just talking like whiskers or bunny ears. These are Hollywood-grade, creepy prosthetics. Obviously, the message is personality over looks, but really with Sexy Beasts, there's nothing below the surface to keep us engaged. Really, the only thing that kind of redeems the show is Rob Delaney, who is on as a narrator for the show, and he is usually hilarious. For those who have seen Catastrophe or even looked at his Twitter account, you'll be expecting a lot, but really, Sexy Beast doesn't give him the scope or the breadth to even make a difference on what's really a disappointing series. It's been compared to The Masked Singer, obviously because of the same wacky costumes and the strange concept, but it just doesn't have that same fun energy that The Masked Singer has. So Sexy Beast is actually a reboot of a very short-lived BBC 3 series in 2014 that ran for literally just one season before it was cancelled, and probably it should have just stayed cancelled.
What would Cilla Black say? I mean, just bring back the good old-fashioned blind date, I say. Anyway, binge or bin Sexy Beast?
Well, when there are other dating shows out there like Love Island and Married at First Sight, I don't know why anyone would want to watch something this dull. The stakes are just so low. It's a bin.
Can't choose both of you.
I've made my decision.
My Sexy Beast is...
So on Binge or Bin, we like to highlight the shows that you might not have heard of, the shows that you might have, heard about but haven't had the time to watch, the hidden gems that we really think you should be watching. And my one this week is The Leftovers. Now, I want to give some forewarning that The Leftovers is my joint favourite TV show of all time. If you've not heard about it, it's set in New York. 2% of the world's population one day just disappear into thin air. And instead of kind of dwelling on the whys and like jumping to scientists trying to work out why this has happened and flitting around the world and seeing the effects it has on different families, it really just to zone in on this one family, the Garvey family, led by Justin Theroux. And it's ravaged his life in a way that his wife has left him. He's left with a daughter who doesn't really communicate with him. And there's a lot of strange goings on in the town that they live in.
I love this town. Now everywhere I look, all I see is what's gone.
It's quite eerie, but it don't worry, it doesn't delve into the unrealistic. It does delve into the fantastical, but later on, and in a way that is grounded in a reality that makes you feel like what you're watching could actually happen. And I think that's the real beauty of The Leftovers. Something extraordinary has happened, but it's happened to ordinary people. It could be your next door neighbours, it could be you. And I think the writing by Damon Lindelof, who co-created Lost and obviously went on to do Watchmen, which was just as much of a success as The Leftovers. He really is one of the most exciting talents out there, and we're lucky to be alive when he is creating TV for us to view as good as this. So Justin Theroux leads this show, and he's really extraordinary, and I don't know how he didn't get a single Emmy nomination for this show. It will always baffle me. The other standouts across the 3 seasons, you've got Anne Dowd, known as Aunt Lydia in The Handmaid's Tale, stealing scenes, and you have Carrie Coon, who is a smaller role in the first series, but the role is heightened as it goes on, and I mean, it's a real star maker. I feel like I was put on this earth to tell people to watch Leftovers, so anything I could do to convince you makes me happy.
So my hidden gem this week is 13, which is a 5-part psychological drama by BBC that came out in 2016. The basic plot is kind of laid out in the first episode, where the main character, Ivy, escapes from this basement in Bristol where she's been held captive for the past 13 years after being abducted as a child. Once she comes out, it feels like that's where a different show would end the series, whereas this is where it opens and it really gives the series a kind of scope to explore something new, and questions are raised of trust and fear and kind of what it means to assimilate back into normal life following this like huge trauma. She's coming back now 26, so there's obviously these 13 years from being a child to an adult that she's missed. But alongside that, there's also this kind of great detective story unfolding with the police both trying to kind of protect Ivy, but also pressing her for questions about her abductor. And the series really benefits from the acting. Ivy's played by Emmy winner Jodie Comer, who people will recognize from hit shows like Dr. Foster and obviously Killing Eve. Richard Ranker from Outlander and Valeen Kane from The Fall also star as the 2 detectives investigating the case. And the show's writer, Marnie Dickens, got her start actually writing on Hollyoaks. I think what they've done really well is this is a mini series, so it's 5 episodes, it's extremely tight, and she doesn't waste any scenes whatsoever. Every moment on the show is kind of utilized to its fullest, and it's a great psychological thriller that kind of takes a different route to the shows that we see today.
Thanks so much for watching Binge or Bin. That's definitely more than enough to keep you going until we see you again next time. Like and comment below and subscribe for more from Independent TV.